Mr. Woodruff, you've tested positive for HIV. Have you ever used intravenous drugs? Have you ever engaged in homosexual conduct?
Homo. You say homo? You made a mistake. That ain't me.
Mr. Woodruff, we estimate you have 30 days left.
So, Ben, we went to see Dallas Buyers Club the other day.
We did, yes.
Yes. If the film taught me one thing about myself, it's that I really, really, really do not want to get AIDS.
It's not really been on my agenda for quite some time. I've always hoped to avoid it.
I think we need to raise awareness of this, though. It's a horrible disease. I'm surprised more people don't know about it.
Well, it's funny, like there's a lot of, a lot of focus these days seems to be on cancer as the big thing, and AIDS has almost taken a bit of a back seat in recent years. But did you know that there's so much more money spent on AIDS than cancer as far as researching there's something like £4.2 billion spent on AIDS, and there's a fraction of that spent on cancer.
Now, just to get into the medical sort of student-y cynic in me, do you want to know why that is?
Why?
Because if you treat someone for cancer, you treat them and then they're cured. If you make a treatment for AIDS, they're going to have to buy that off you for the rest of their life.
Well, yeah, maybe that is why the cost's so fucking much higher. But at the same time, like, cancer's not something you can always prevent, or, it's to me, cancer's often something you get or you don't get, and there's obviously factors that can increase it or decrease it. But AIDS is you generally got to put yourself in a situation where you can get it. And obviously, sometimes you can get it unknowingly and all the rest of it. But, you've got to either be performing intravenous drugs very unsafely, or having unsafe sex with multiple partners, or at least with a single partner who is also having sex with other multiple partners. It's like, I don't think I'll ever get it, whereas I probably will get cancer at one point. And this is a really grim conversation.
Yeah, we've gone off on a weird. Should we make some jokes or something? Should we get some writers in?
Yeah, well, sorry. So Dallas Buyers Club, fucking hell, this went off in a really kind of, I was like staring down the barrel of my life there. A very introspective conversation. But, Dallas Buyers Club. Matthew McConaughey seems to be trying to take acting very seriously recently. Obviously, he was in Wolf of Wall Street, and we did our little podcast for that last week or the week before, and we both loved that, and we thought he was class in that. But this is... he was more of a cameo in that than anything else. So this is his big Oscar push. He's for someone who's getting very serious about it. He's putting a lot of effort into it. And Matthew McConaughey always seems to get a bit of a hard time for being like kind of a bit shit or being in shit films. But he's pretty damn good when he actually wants to be.
Oh yeah, if you've seen Fool's Gold, I can completely get on the the side of Matthew McConaughey being in shit films. I watched that on a plane, and I lost the will to live. And it's just, I could tell then that he was wasting his career, but I think maybe since The Lincoln Lawyer, he's really been taking it seriously, and that's a good film. And he's everything since then he's been in has been quality.
Well, maybe something that came across in Magic Mike is that we were saying before we came up with this podcast, he's always been this guy who's known as a bit of a heartthrob. He's always been known for his physique, and he's the man who gets women into cinemas to watch him. And yet, in Magic Mike, it was very apparent that he's starting to get old, and he's not going to be able to ride the kind of coattails of being like the heartthrob for much longer. So maybe he is starting to turn his attention actually being a fucking serious actor and being in quality films rather than just kind of fun movies for the money.
Yeah. Although, I don't give a shit. I'd love to see a second Sahara film.
You know what? There's loads of boobs for that character. I can't remember the character.
Yeah,
it's
like 30 or 40, I think.
And I'm sure one of them is like set on the Titanic. And my dad's actually read a lot of them, and he says they're like a lot of fun. Great kind of just fun adventure books, adventure stories. And I was always kind of upset. Well, not upset, but I was always disappointed that they didn't make more, because I liked Sahara way more than probably I should have. I thought it was just a lot of
Yeah.
fun, and I really liked the chemistry between Matthew McConaughey and Steve Zahn, his little sidekick.
Yeah, who also pops up in Dallas Buyers Club, which is nice.
He does, yes. We were talking about this a little. We mentioned him in the. We couldn't remember his name actually when we did our Wolf of Wall Street podcast.
Yeah, we couldn't. Yeah.
But when he popped up, like just because we'd been talking about it, I was like, "Oh shit, it's not a coincidence." But yeah,
Who else is in this then? Because we got Jared Leto as he was good.
Yeah, Jennifer Garner.
Do you know who I was trying to work out who he was all the way through? Matthew McConaughey's lawyer in the film. Do you know who he is?
Who's that?
I don't know his name. I just know him as the governor's little bitch from Series 3 of Walking Dead.
Oh, shit, yeah. The guy, yeah, I know who you mean. Oh, yes. Yeah, I do know who you mean.
Yeah, popped up.
Shit. But, yeah, so, I mean, really getting back to, after our fucking weird tangents and everything, Dallas Buyers Club is actually, it's kind of based on a true story of a guy called Ron Woodruff.
Yep.
Who is basically, he's a Texas redneck. I think that's the easiest way to explain it. He's a bigot. He likes the rodeo. He's a man's man. He lives in a trailer with his trailer trash friends and trailer trash groupies. He's not really a professional rodeo star, but he's a big amateur name. He's actually an electrician on what did it look like, a rails road or an oil field or something?
Yeah, I thought it was some sort of refinery type thing.
Yeah, that's his job. But he's basically a bit of a hellraiser. And one day, it's set in the mid '80s. This night, I think it starts in 1985. And one day he finds out he's actually got HIV. After his life of hard partying. And like judging from the trailers, I thought it was going to be because he's a drug addict. He is a drug addict, but he mainly sticks to cocaine, I think. He's a bit of a boozer. But it kind of shows you how he got AIDS or HIV in this, and it seemed to suggest that he slept with a prostitute who was an intravenous drug user.
Yeah, I think that's...
or a woman. I don't know if she was a prostitute, but I'm just hypothesizing since it took place at a seedy motel.
Yeah, you sort of flash back to looking at her and her lifestyle, and maybe it was just him trying to pinpoint something, because I'm willing to bet he slept with quite a few women, and any one of them could have really passed it.
Yeah, although, it's it's fairly difficult for a woman to pass AIDS HIV onto a man.
Yeah.
But it's very easy the other way around.
For obvious, pointy reasons.
Yeah. So basically, it's about this. It's about Ron Woodruff who finds out he's got AIDS, and all of a sudden he's basically given 30 days to live, and he finds himself completely ostracized by his friends and his community who are all bigots like he is, and he basically is on a kind of 30-day quest to find a cure.
It's like out of everyone on the planet that's been selected to do this, it falls to this chap.
This redneck son of a bitch. And basically things go on, and he makes his way into Mexico. That's a lie. First of all, he tries to get hold of a drug that's being kind of trialed in America. He has an arrangement with one of the orderlies there who sneaks it out for him after he's turned down for it. And long story short, he ends up in partnership with a doctor who's been an American doctor who's been exiled to Mexico for kind of conducting illegal medical tests. And this doctor gets him slightly better, gets him up on his feet with alternative treatment. They kind of they talk about the drug that's getting trialed in America, and it's actually very toxic to the point where it's probably doing these HIV patients more harm than just fucking leaving it alone would. And that prompts Ron Woodruff to take all this alternative, unapproved medicine back to America and start selling it to the ostracized HIV community who can't get help anywhere else and are desperate. One thing that actually struck me about this movie is that how frightening AIDS must have been in the 80s.
Yeah, that's what I mean, because we're not getting the sort of public awareness anymore, really, that it did back then. I never got a scale of how scary it was, because, I don't know, it's just not as big a deal anymore. Well, no, not a big a deal is made of it.
Well, no, you're right.
A huge deal.
I wouldn't enjoy having it, I must admit. But I think the thing is, like in the 80s, it was this new terminal illness that nobody really understood. The doctors didn't even know what the fuck it was. They didn't know if it was airborne, how you got it. I mean, when they go into when the doctors go in to tell Ron that he's got HIV, they're wearing masks because they
really
don't know
weird,
if it's airborne or not. And it's just terrifying. And these people are like, they've got nowhere to turn. These people are getting told they've got days, if not months, to live. I say, right then, we're going to put you on this fucking double-blind medication trial. That's going to take a year to complete, and then we'll know if this drug's any good. And well, what's the fucking point when I've got 30 days to live and I'm going to be in horrible pain, dying slowly all the way through that? It's just madness. And it was like, you got a great sense of this panic, and it was very much fear of the unknown. The only thing that was known is that AIDS, HIV, and then going on to AIDS wasn't a nice way to fucking die. I thought that's something this film captured very, very well.
Yeah. Everyone looked exceedingly frail, and just... It must be really bad to have that sort of a terminal illness as well, because you just don't know when, but you just know it's going to happen.
Well, that's it. And you said everyone looked frail. You got Matthew McConaughey here looking like shit.
Yeah.
He looked like he was really pulling a Christian Bale in The Machinist. Like,
yeah,
he just
really
looked
did.
skinny as shit. He looked not only was he really thin, but he looked ghastly as well. He just looked like hammered shit. It was pretty amazing what he managed to actually do to look that bad. And Jared Leto, who plays Rayon, who's a transvestite, big personality in the gay community.
Yeah.
He looks like shit as well in
even
this.
Worse, yeah.
And there's a bit
like when he puts a suit on and he's, you can just see his like proper face without makeup on and stuff. Damn, he just looked gaunt as fuck.
He did, and there's a scene later on where he's kind of standing in underpants, leaning against like a dresser, and he's just this wire figure leaning up against it. There's like nothing to him. It's pretty fucking grim.
I'm really impressed they got two actors that were willing to go that far.
Yeah, it was impressive. Jared Leto, it's strange. He's a name I recognise, but he's not somebody who's been in a huge amount.
No, the last film that I can remember him being in was Man of War. Is that what it's called?
Lord of War.
Lord of War. Yeah, he plays his brother or his son.
Honestly, I'm trying to think really what the hell I know him from, because
Well, the reason he doesn't do many is because he's the lead singer of 30 Seconds to Mars.
Oh, is he really?
Yeah.
That's why I know his name then, and don't know it's right. Okay then. Okay, I know he's in Requiem for a Dream.
Oh, is he?
The Darren Aronofsky movie. Is that not Darren Aronofsky's first feature movie? In fact,
not sure.
I can't remember.
Should know. I love Darren Aronofsky.
But yeah, both of them are very, very good. And kind of, I suppose, leading up the three main stars of this, you've got Jennifer Garner as well playing Eve, who's a doctor who is one of the doctors who first treats Ron. And it's Jennifer Garner, isn't it?
It is. I think now I've just had the time to think about what we're going to say about her. She's just Jennifer Garner. She's just Jennifer Garner all the way through. But there is one scene when she basically tells the other doctors to fuck off.
Yeah, I like that.
It's kind of her real Texas accent. She just flickers out a little bit.
Well, that's the thing. Like, we say it almost like saying, "No, it's just Jennifer Garner." It sounds almost derogatory because she's all right, Jennifer Garner. She's not bad. Decent. She's a fairly solid actress. But I don't know. She doesn't really excite me in any way. She doesn't really impress me. She just kind of is serviceable. And she was okay in this, but I think she was overshadowed by the other main actors in this.
It seems like I was mentioning that she plays a very bland character in Invention of Lying with Ricky Gervais, but opposite Ricky Gervais, it was kind of all right. When she's up against Matthew McConaughey on his A game, it just didn't line up.
Yeah, you're right, and I think maybe something you've hit on something there. Maybe it wasn't all her fault because I also felt that Eve was a bit of a bland character. She felt very much this archetype of, this straight-laced doctor who wants to do well for a patient. She felt very much like a kind of a bit of a cardboard cutout as far as the motivations were lined up. And I don't know. I don't want to knock seven bells out of her because I thought she was good, good enough in the part. She just was upstaged a bit by her co-stars. But yeah, she was okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, overall, though, I actually really enjoyed this movie. I thought it was very, very touching in a lot of places. I thought there were some really nice
Yeah.
scenes. I really, really liked the relationship between Ron and Rion as it went on. Obviously, there was like nothing but resentment between them at first, and it, develops into what is. I wouldn't necessarily go so far as to say it's a friendship, but there's a great deal of respect between them.
Yeah.
Um, it's
I
a,
think he obviously cares about them in some way as well, for like certain events that happen later on in the film.
yeah.
And he gets really, it really hits him hard. So there's something there, but it is hard to put a pin in what sort of relationship they do have.
Because I mean, some of the shits that Ron says to Rion is like absolutely horrific, right?
Yeah.
Where he's threatening him with the gun to blow his cock off,
Yeah.
and it's just stuff like that. But that's one thing I actually really liked about those two as well. While it was very emotional, them to never let it get overly sentimental. There was always an edge to it, or a bit of humor, or
Yeah.
there was always something more acidic to it than you normally would have gotten. I felt, and I thought it really helped stop this getting bogged down in nothing but sugary nonsense.
Yeah, which was really good. And especially, I want to point out that the humour was quite good when it was used. I really laughed out loud a few times, which is something that 12 Years a Slave needs to, sort itself out with. Fucking jokes.
Yeah, we should have had, fucking Michael Fassbender throwing some jokes out while he was whipping the shit out of them.
That would have been good. Some like whip puns and stuff.
Yeah. Well, we still had...
Turns up one day with like brown face paint on.
Oh my god. Yeah, blackface. But have you seen the episode of Always Sunny?
Yeah.
Where they're discussing the merits of blackface.
Yeah, it's always racist.
They should have just worked that into 12 Years a Slave. Jesus, we've gone off on some fucking bizarre tangents on this, Jesus. Maybe it's just because the subject of AIDS isn't all that cheerful. So, you need some lightheartedness. But Matthew McConaughey is very funny in this. I like this character. He's got this, he's got a great dry sense of humour. He's very witty. He very much doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah, but he's got so much drive as well, in combination with not giving a fuck. It's like I've never seen a film character quite like him. I'm not sure how close it is to the real man, but the fact that he's so driven to get these drugs in the country, and the fact that he doesn't give a fuck so much, he ends up trying to sue the American government. And it's just that is a ballsy move.
Well, it's strange, because at first, when he starts doing this, selling these drugs, he almost is doing it for profit, you get the impression.
Yeah. For
self-gain, because he gets, obviously, his own supply of drugs, and for profit, so he can enjoy his last moments. But as the film goes on, obviously, there's a great change in him where it almost completely stops being about money in any respect, and it's just about fucking helping people with this shitty disease. And I thought
helping to sell his car just so he can help.
Yeah.
Keep the money rolling and stuff. Yeah, he really does change. He changes a lot in this film, not just his outlook on homosexuals and things, but in terms of his motivations for a lot of stuff. But he always remains just as driven.
Well, that's it. For somebody who's basically just a fucking redneck waster for most of his life, all of a sudden, he almost makes up for that kind of just lack of anything worthwhile in his life. He makes up for it in the short years he's suffering AIDS and helping people with AIDS.
He has that really touching line. I don't know if you remember when he says, he's talking to Jennifer Garner, and he's going, I'm really, who'd have thought that this is what... the most worthwhile thing I'll do in my life. And then he's, I'm worried though that I'm going to spend so much time trying to stay alive that I'm not living.
Yeah, I thought that was, there was a lot of nice little moments like that in this movie. I think this is a very, very well made movie. I think Matthew McConaughey definitely deserves his Oscar nod. Whether he'll win it or not, I don't know. But one thing I do think this film is despite it being very good, I still think it's very much award or particularly Oscar bait even. I think this is the type of film that will always get picked on for awards because it ticks a certain number of boxes. It's about, a hot topic disease. It's about homosexuals, and it's got this kind of really heartwarming tale of redemption and relationships behind it. This film, despite it being very good, and I've very much had a good time with it, I've seen films like this a lot before. Not necessarily about AIDS, but I've seen that, a bigot becomes friends with a gay man in time of crisis. I think before we came on to record this, we were talking about Philip Seymour Hoffman and Robert De Niro in Flawless. That's a similar type of arc. These two opposites become forced together in difficult circumstances and become best mates, as it were. I mean, this has got that aspect as well as the AIDS aspect, but there was sometimes I feel like I've seen parts of this movie before.
Yeah, I know what you mean, and I only partially agreed with you because I didn't notice that that criticism myself, but I do agree with you now. I think that if this movie had come out in the summer or like in the autumn as like just a standard drama rather than an Oscar drama, I've got a feeling that some creative touches would have been done very differently. Like this ending had a very similar ending to 12 Years a Slave, I felt.
Yeah, very bittersweet.
Just a nice, an end note rather than a climactic ending. It was
That's actually something you've actually reminded me of something that I was thinking about. A lot of this movie's kind of message was that the medicine that Ron was giving out to these people was far more beneficial than the AZT drug, which was very toxic and doing a lot of damage to patients. Yet at the end, it kind of came out and said that AZT is actually used quite a lot, even today, as part of a cocktail of other drugs and saves thousands of lives. I was like, well, shit. I don't really know what to think.
Well, what I took from that was maybe at the time when Ron was getting it and when all of his friends were getting it, maybe they hadn't got it quite right yet and it was doing more damage. But that's the thing, though. If maybe the results of this trial, which were slightly falsified, they ignored some negative data, and then some of the positive data was for other reasons rather than the drug itself.
Yes.
But maybe the results of that trial ended up so they knew the pros and cons a bit better, and then they reworked it into something usable.
No, I think that's exactly what's happened. Really, I'm maybe just kind of oversimplifying it, but I just thought that kind of message at the end.
It is bizarre in terms of the film. I was just trying to explain.
Yeah. In terms of the film, it almost kind of minimizes. It completely undermines the purpose of this man's work and this, the great deeds he did. And not only that, but the shit we've been watching for the last 2 hours. It's kind of well, fuck, he was just a crazy redneck after all.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I agree with you that it's probably used in conjunction with other drugs. Well, it's even said the film part of a cocktail of drugs, and it's probably used in much more controlled and smaller doses, so it does some benefit rather than just toxic, fucking poisoning people all the time. But yeah, I mean, kind of wrapping up, I suppose. Just I really did like this film. I thought it was very touching. I thought it was very well made. Matthew McConaughey did a marvelous performance. It was nice to see him do something different to what I'm used to. And I would give this... See, I was wrestling with my rating, but I think I'm going to go for an A-, simply because I feel like I've seen a lot of this movie before in other titles.
We're so in sync. I'm going to give it A- as well. It's mainly for McConaughey's performance. I feel that I'm rating this so highly because I thought he was fantastic. I think he may edge DiCaprio this year for the 9th time DiCaprio's going to lose.
Is it more that DiCaprio never wins than Matthew McConaughey actually deserves it?
Oh, well, possibly, yeah. But I really enjoyed it, and it was nice to be able to. I'm not sure how the audience is going to be when it actually opens publicly, because we both saw advanced screenings, luckily.
We did.
Hashtag Cineworld. And it was like it was an audience full of people who obviously been looking forward to this film.
Yes, I mean, I think the thing is, though, because we went to the Cineworld Unlimited screening, it was people who obviously go and see a lot of movies. We got we have all these cards that we get to see a shit ton of movies for very little a month. So it will be interesting to see how it does at the box office. But I am under no doubt that this is a film that will do better on DVD than it will at the cinema, and it certainly won't pull in the numbers that what Wolf of Wall Street's been pulling in.
Oh no, Wolf of Wall Street. I would happily go and see Wolf of Wall Street a second, third time. If someone else was going to see this, I would tag along, but I certainly wouldn't be like pushing to go again. And yeah, like DVD wise, are you gonna buy it straight away?
Probably not.
Yeah, I don't think I am either.
Yeah, that sounds really damning. But
After what you just said, sorry.
yeah, I don't really buy a lot of DVDs anymore.
Oh yeah, but I just feel that with this film, once might be enough for a long time, like 12 Years a Slave, but for different reasons.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I thought this was a lot more entertaining than 12 Years a Slave. In that the 12 Years a Slave was just fucking brutal. But at the same time, it wasn't exactly about a fucking happy subject. It wasn't really something that I was hugely entertained by. I appreciate it's a good movie, and I recommend people watch it for it being a good movie. But it's not something I would sit down on an evening just to relax with.
Open a bottle of wine and watch
Watch Matthew McConaughey die slowly from AIDS. No, not really. But yeah, this is a very good film, and I think it's very much deserving of its of an A minus. It's a comfortable A minus.
Yeah.
Maybe that sounds maybe a little too trying to justify it, but I guess. So yeah, I mean, really, we're starting to get to the edge of. We've seen a lot of the Oscar contenders now.
Yeah, there's not a lot more. I mean, I'm going to see A Sarge Orange County this week, and then you've got... Is Her nominated for anything?
Oh, I'm not sure. It's certainly getting a lot of kind of just critical buzz about it. I've been hearing a lot about Her, but didn't really know anything about it until I saw the trailer last night when we went to see this.
I wish that I'd had the trailer as a fresh look, but as I say, my friend, he's been talking about it for ages, so I've known the plot for a while. And as soon as I saw Joaquin Phoenix, I was like, all right, this is where he's going to fall in love with a computer. But if I'd seen that trailer like fresh, without knowing anything, God, that would have been good.
Yeah, I had no idea. I was like, first of all, I was sitting there going, is that Joaquin Phoenix? I was like, I couldn't quite tell if it was him or not. And I was like, oh shit, yeah, it is. Oh, and he's fell in love with his smartphone.
Yeah, that trailer just takes a turn for the creepy halfway through it. I'm amazed by that trailer.
It took me, like Christ, I must have been just not on my game last night because when Amy Adams was on the trailer, I was looking at it for ages going, who the fuck is that?
Did you recognize Scarlett Jo?
I didn't even fucking notice her in the trailer.
No, she's the voice of the computer.
Oh, is she? Oh, right.
Yeah.
No, I didn't. But Amy Adams had blonde hair in the trailer, didn't she?
Yeah.
Right, because she's done this to me before, right? In what is it in Night at the Museum 2? She plays
Amelia Earhart.
Yeah, and I was like sitting because she's got short hair, and I hadn't seen her in anything for a long time. I was sitting there going, "Who the fuck is that?" I don't want to look at IMDb. I want to guess it.
Yeah,
I sat there for the whole fucking movie trying to figure out who the fuck it was.
Yeah, I'm like that. I can't look at IMDb for a good few days if I don't know who it is. I end up ruining so much stuff, films and games, and while I'm at work and I'm not doing it properly. And then all of a sudden it just pops in your head like Jonah Hill, something like that.
For fuck's sake, how did I not know that? I'm getting really bad. I'm starting to do that with people in the office.
Yeah.
It's like I know who they are.
It's a bad sign, isn't it?
But I can't fucking remember their names. It's terrible. That's why I just call everybody mate or hey you, and you can't really go too far wrong with that.
Why are we here?
Nice restaurant, beautiful woman. It's where I feel like a human again.
Mr. Woodruff, what is going on?
People are dying.
You're nothing more than a common drug dealer.
TJ, this is Rayon. Freaking homo. Oh! Man, I got one life. I wanted to mean something.
Just let me be your ticket home.
If you want more from ScreenHogUK, remember you can like our page on Facebook at facebook.com/ScreenHogUK, or alternatively, you can follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/ScreenHogUK. Of course, if you prefer to watch our shows in video form, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/user/ScreenHogUK.